Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Harmeet Sani here at Sony Music to speak to Nihal on his upcoming album, The Asian Collection. Men aren't usually good at multitasking, but the person next to me is a DJ, rapper, presenter, and a broadcaster. Nihal, it's a pleasure to have you on B4U.
Oh, it's great to be on B4U. I'm not so much of the rapper anymore. Those days are pretty much over, apart from when I'm in the shower, perhaps.
Back in the days.
Back in the days. Now it's just a shower rap, unfortunately.
Does it feel weird to be on the other side? You have more experience of being the interviewer as compared to being the interviewee.
I'm so glad you're the first person who's asked me that question. And I'm so glad you have asked me that question, because yes, it is kind of weird. Because, of course, as you well know, 3 hours a day, I spend my whole life interviewing people, and I've interviewed hundreds, if not thousands of people over the years. So it's actually quite a nice break, actually, to talk about this album. I think it's fantastic because I'm actually talking about an album that, obviously, the Asian Collection, and I'm talking about other artists. I think it would be very weird for artists who have to talk about themselves. So, you know, A.R. Rahman or Jay Sean or those kinds of people, when actually all they have to do is just talk about themselves. I can imagine that would be pretty freaky. Yeah.
You have a versatile career: journalism, broadcasting, presenting. What made you think of this?
Well, I was a Radio 1 DJ for 12 years, and music has always been a massive part of my life. You know, if it wasn't for music, I don't know, I wouldn't be here sitting with you. I wouldn't have met my wife if it wasn't for music. I wouldn't have seen the world if it wasn't for music. So for me, doing an album like this is a way of showing to the world what I love about the world, and that is music, even though I love hosting debates. Yeah. You know, this morning we were having a discussion about the death penalty in India. We've discussed hugely different issues. Before the general election, I interviewed Ed Miliband, I interviewed Nick Clegg, Theresa May, Michael Gove. I've done all kinds of really exciting things and met exciting people. Kailash Satyarthi, of course, the Indian winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, I interviewed him. Yeah. So it's fantastic to be able to interview people, but being interviewed by your good self is nice. It's really nice. To be on B4U is nice. Yeah.
Talk me through the process of compiling the album and choosing your songs.
Well, the process begins with my music library in my office at home, which is a kind of whole wall of CDs, then going into my laptop and going genre by genre. So you're making an Asian collection, which is the name of the album. So what you're saying is, okay, let's go through all my Bollywood songs. Let's go through my Bhangra songs. Let's go through my Asian R&B songs. Let's go through my Asian rap songs. Let's go through my Asian house songs. Let's go through my Asian chill songs. Let's go through, you know, Bhangra and then different genres within Bhangra. And then suddenly you've got hundreds of tracks to choose from. But actually the process of getting to these 53 tracks is relatively straightforward in that you're trying to pick songs that really mean something. So like Down by Jay Sean is such a moment for Asians. You know, to see a British Asian, a British Punjabi boy #1 in America is extraordinary. Punjabi MC, Mundi Antu Bachke, is a tune. I mean, like, who doesn't go to a wedding or a club where Asians are and hear that tune? And it doesn't matter how many times you've heard it. You're going to be on the dance floor. You're going to be busting some moves. So then there's that, which is the kind of big, well-known tracks. Jai Ho, of course, from Slumdog Millionaire with the Pussycat Dolls. And then there's other tracks on there, like Outlandish, Aisha, which perhaps not so many people know. Yeah. But when they hear it, they'll go, that's beautiful. Or Rita Mora with Pia, which is remixed by Talal Qureshi, who's a Pakistani producer based in Pakistan. And to hear that song, which I strongly suggest you go and check out, is amazing. And then Nitin Sawhney with Homelands, which mixes Indian classical music with flamenco. I mean, this whole different style, you know, from Pritham to Rahat Fateh Ali Khan to Outlandish to Jay Sean. I think you will get a sense, anyone, of what Asian music is, and you'll be able to put it on and you'll love it.
This album features artists from all over the world and not just Britain. What was your aim behind this whole idea and this album?
The aim behind the album was to give the Asian audience a compilation album that they could be proud of. Because the Asian community is very underserved. Like, major record labels do not serve our needs. And unfortunately, because the way the Asian music industry is, where there's a lot of kind of infighting and politics and territoriality, it's very difficult to get all those labels to agree. But where Sony come in, with all the power Sony has, I mean, this is just in this room, you can see like Pharrell on this room or Paloma Faith. I mean, you know, One Direction assigned to this in this building, right? So it gives you a sense, you know, Elvis was signed to RCA, right? So you're in a building where there's a lot of power. And when Sony came to me and said, would you like to do this project? I was like, absolutely. And I said, but we're only going to do it if you're going to put everything into it. And they've gone, of course we're going to do that. That's what we do. That's why there's TV advertising. I'm sure we'll see some TV adverts on B4U for the album. And that's why, for the first time ever, Asda, a supermarket that everyone knows, is going to be selling CDs, this CD, for the first time ever, in the world food aisle. So you can go and buy your 10 kgs of basmati rice, and there's going to be the Asian collection standing right next to you, which is a first, you know. So it's very ambitious. You know, it's saying, this audience, we're the largest minority in the UK, right? There are millions of us. Sure. And we're having lots of kids, so there are going to be even more of us in the next generation. And I want to make sure that we are part of the conversation. That's all I want to make sure. And I want to make sure these artists, whether they're British Asian or whether they're Indian, are part of the conversation. And now this CD is going to be in supermarkets near you. Not just, and no disrespect to our little Indian stores that are running there. The corner shops, you know, no disrespect. Big up Mr. Patel. It's actually about it being massive mainstream to see. And it was important because we obviously thought a lot about the words, the name of it. And I really wanted the word Asian on it, not Eastern, Asian. So that whether you're Bengali or whether you are Sri Lankan or Pakistani or Indian, you go, okay, I'm Asian. What's all this about? The Asian collection. Okay, wow. You know, and that's what I wanted to happen.
You've got songs all the way from Nusrat to Zeus. How do you think music has changed over the last decades?
Well, I'm not sure it has changed that much. I mean, if you listen to what Kanika Kapoor, for instance, is doing with her vocals, is it that different to what you were hearing some years ago? I think some of the people that are truly innovating, I think that however pop he is, and he very much divides people, I think Yo-Yo Honey Singh does some really interesting songs, you know, some really interesting stuff, which I really, really like. And I think that people like Zach Knight and Arjun, who actually don't feature on this album, but they will do on the next few ones, are doing some really, really exciting things. So I think, you know, it's about songs. I think Bhangra is, people seem to want more and more Desi Bhangra. That's why, you know, Diljit Dosanjh does so well. But I think Bhangra producers need to be innovating more. I think they need to push themselves a bit more. But it's difficult for them because, you know, sales for Bhangra is quite low. So they need to do songs that are going to be very safe for the dance floors, so they'll get the wedding bookings, and that's where they'll make their money. And that's a shame, you know. I want young British Asians to come through and demand, you know, Chris Brown, Drake type vibes, but in the languages they may want. But not to do it cheesily, like you have to do it properly. Like there's a producer called Steel Bangles, who's South Asian, and he's worked with a lot of British black artists, and he really gets the genre, really, really gets the genre, and understands it in the same way Punjabi MC does. Punjabi MCs could be, if he wanted to be, a fantastic hip-hop producer. You know, I mean, Mundi Anta Bachke is a hip-hop track with a dumbi and a dole in it, you know? I mean, it is. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the original Busta Rhymes track it was taken from. So, and then I've got Missy Elliott, Get Your Freak On there, which is, of course, an African-American rapper. And it has, and Timbaland, who's one of the best producers ever, he's got these tabla licks on it, and he's doing that and bringing Asian culture into Western rap music.
According to you, what makes A.R. Rahman one of the greatest composers in the world?
His soulfulness, his attention to detail, the fact that I think he's eccentric, and I think any great artist is usually a little bit eccentric. His love of melody and grand composition. Yeah, and I think also as well, I think Sufism must be an element in what makes him great, because he is a Sufi, and I think that element is the same, of course, as Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan and so many other great Sufi singers, that brings you automatically a sense of everything you do has to come from the heart. It has to. You're not doing it because you want to check. The check is a byproduct of the fact that you have just poured your heart and soul into a song. And he's the greatest, isn't he? I mean, he is the greatest. There's other people coming through, and they will come, and it'd be quite interesting to see, really, where Yo-Yo Honey Singh is in 20 years. And people might go, are you comparing the two of them? Are you drunk? But I think Yo-Yo Honey Singh has got something about melody in him. And as he matures and as his trousers get more fitted and he perhaps starts wearing less gold, he might go, but I want to be that guy. I love Norshad Ali, right? Mughal Azam is one of my favourite soundtracks of all time. And I love that epic nature. Strings, huge orchestras, big vocals, choirs full of vocals, and soaring music. And that's where I hope Yo-Yo will head to. And that is where A.R. Rahman is at, right?
Don't go anywhere, because we're going to take a short break and be right back on B4U with Nihal and his Asian collection.